Hello, the doc is in. Welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to be covering chapter 240 of Tokyo Revengers. Go into retirement. So it's the first time I'm covering this on the channel. If you've never watched Tokyo Revengers or read the manga of Tokyo Revengers for some reason, basically we got main character Takemichi. He's a loser adult. He goes back in time, realizes teenage himself is a loser, and basically he decides that he's gonna change his life. And also he wants to save his middle school girlfriend because I guess it's true love. Anime logic, okay? It's things going on. But it's really cool. A lot of gang stuff, but Japanese gangs, of course. If you're in America, not those types of gangs. More like Yakuza type thing. But really good manga, yada yada yada. Here we are. So these are the, I guess you could say the leaks, because the chapter hasn't been officially released yet, but the leaks for chapter 240. But it's like the full chapter. So I'm just gonna go through it, draw some theories, and so on. Do a little chapter reading at the end. Alright, so let's hop right into it. So at the beginning of the chapter, we got Takemichi and Hakai basically sitting down, and they're basically talking about how they need to fire Chifuyu from his, I guess you could say, advisor position, since he was responsible for coming up with the name of the gang and the clothing and everything, and basically everybody is on the same page that it sucks, but they kind of feel bad because that's their boy and they don't want to like crush the streets because he's really proud of it, but it was a failure. I mean, I didn't really mind the Thousand Winters part, but the shirt definitely, I mean, but basically while Hakai and Takemichi are talking about how they don't want to tell Chifuyu walks in there basically like whispering, yelling at each other about how they need to just spill the beans, but Chifuyu beats them to a punch, and basically he's like, guys, I need to give up my position and give it to Mitsuya. And basically, that's what happens. Mitsuya is offered the position by Chifuyu. Mitsuya is like, great. And so he becomes a new advisor. He's like, alright, we're changing everything. The name gotta go, the shirts gotta go, everything. And Chifuyu's like, dang, I gotta turn up all my stuff, man. But it has to be done, and Takemichi and Hakai are very excited in the background. It's kind of sad, low-key, but hey, somebody's gonna hold this L, and Chifuyu is the one who made this L for himself, so he's holding it. And also Mitsuya is basically like, hey, I let Taeyong and Panchin know that we got the game going on, so they're hopping in, and Nupi is also letting them know that he let Water Brothers know about the thing that was smiling and angry, and basically everybody's coming in and whatnot, and so things are starting to like come together, because previously in this arc, this, I guess you could say, post 3 deities arc, I guess you could say the formation of probably Tokyo Revengers. Like, come on, it's gonna be called Tokyo Revengers, especially since Mitsuya is now gonna be changing the name and everything. I feel like it would be a horrible loss to not throw in the name of the manga and call this Tokyo Revengers, because we're saying from Tokyo Manji Gang, and we got the Kanto Manji Gang, that's the evil group. So I'm like, if they call it Tokyo Revengers, it'd be so, not only would it be fitting, but it would be so good, and it'd give them a nice uniform. Oh, it'd be a slapper. But back to the chapter. So Mitsuya puts his trust into Takemichi. Is basically like, yeah, you got this, we got our founding members, etc. It's 9 of them total. And then basically Mitsuya references like, oh, is there anyone else that we're inviting? And then we cut to Tokomi and Takemichi meeting together, and basically Takemichi's like, hey, I'm starting up a new gang, I want to talk to Senju. I haven't been able to get in contact with her because she hasn't been answering her phone. And Takomi's just like, hey, understandable, I'll bring you to her, but she's been in low spirits, so I'm not surprised she hasn't really been answering her phone or anything. They go into like the ramen meeting area, the giant stadium area, and we see Senju just sitting there in her little jacket. Looks like the ramen uniform, but when you look at it from the front, it doesn't have like the white in the center, or or anything, so maybe it's just like a similar looking hoodie/sweater. And so basically, Takemichi goes to her and he's basically like, hey, I got a game going on, I want you to join. And Senju, when you look at it from the front, it doesn't have like the white in the center or like the zipper or anything, so maybe it's just like a similar looking hoodie/sweater. So basically, Takemichi goes to her and he's basically like, hey, I got a game going on, I want you to join. And Senju's basically like, nah, I'm a failure, I couldn't be Self, definitely couldn't be Mikey. I mean, I had lofty dreams, but I just couldn't live up to them. I'm out the game, I'm retiring. Pretty much going to the title. And she's like, Brahman's over. It's over. And Takemichi's like, nah, come on, don't say that. The game life isn't over yet. We still got one more job for you. And she's like, no, I am a failure. And then Tokomi chimes in. And he's basically like, Tokomi's like, you're gonna regret not joining the gang, well, this new gang or whatever. And he's like, oh, you wanted to become the strongest, and your two brothers, they fell off. We were kind of losers. I got crazy for power/money, and Chuyo, or I'll just call it Sanzu, because when people start saying this name, like, I would be on the Reddit, and they'd be saying this name like Chuyo. It's Haruchuyo. Say it that way. I was like, who is that? But then I would see the picture of like young Sanzu. I was like, I don't know who that is, it's Sanzu. But anyway, so Sanzu went straight up and he's basically like, oh, it's not your fault that, we fell off, you should still follow your dreams and become the strongest, etc. And then she's like, no, Oni-chan, you're wrong. It is my fault that Sanzu became crazy and Mikey has dark impulses. It's my fault. And Takomi's like, ah. And Takemichi, obviously, because he usually doesn't know what's going on, is like, what? And so then basically, she's like, no, it's my responsibility to save them. Kind of leading to the idea of why she might have the dreams of becoming the strongest. So then we learn, apparently, the group of two, Mikey and Baji, was actually a group of 4, really. She doesn't refer to herself as a part of the group, but it was really 4. And so basically, it was Mikey, Baji, Sanzu, and Senju in the background. And at the end of the chapter, she basically says she was always following them behind them. So it was kind of like a trio with like the tag along. And that comes to the end of the chapter. And so I'm guessing the next chapter is probably going to either give a full backstory where we're going to basically learn what happened. Because it seems that prior to whatever happens here, Mikey, Baji, and Sanzu, well, mostly referencing Mikey and Sanzu, were previously normal children. We also see that Sanzu in the final page of this chapter, he doesn't have his marks under his next to his lips or anything like that. He just looks normal. He also looks pretty happy, he looks chill. Mikey is obviously looking like child Mikey, etc. So this does lead to for thought for, okay, what could have possibly happened that caused Mikey to have dark impulses and for Sanzu to become basically crazy? And so, I mean, the only theories that I could have is that Senju was in danger in some type of situation, maybe a gang situation or whatever, and basically Mikey and Sanzu became responsible for killing somebody or something, perhaps, or maybe some other form of traumatic event happened to them at a young age that involved Sanzu getting injured and Senju being saved in the end of it, but now Sanzu is more twisted, maybe more, not leaning to the dark side, because not like a dark impulse, but more like he doesn't have as much of a aversion to like killing, because he wasn't the first person to kill somebody, but he did it in a very brutal and very I don't really care-esque way, like with the cutting down Mucho. It was pretty crazy, and he's always been by Mikey's side, we realize, but he's also not a founding member of the Tokyo Manji gang. So it's kind of, I feel like whatever's gonna happen in this flashback, whatever happened in the past, leads to Sanzu getting injured, deciding that deciding to basically disown his family members, well, his brother and sister mainly, and to become devoutly loyal to Mikey. And whatever happened in the situation also causes Mikey to become prone to also becoming dark, whereas Sanzu completely fell into it and become awash in it, doesn't really care, so to speak. Like, he basically fell into a pool and he sunk. Mikey's kind of like trying to gasp for air, and then as we are at this point where he's pretty much fully submerged himself in dark impulses. But overall, pretty good chapter, nothing crazy happens. But this reveal, I mean, I knew about the reveal a little bit ahead of time, but when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, what do you mean the group of 2 was a group of 4? What do you mean Senju, Sanzu, Baji, and I think I did say Mikey. Senju, Sanzu, Baji, and Mikey all knew each other over childhood friends. It's pretty crazy. So I had to give this chapter probably an 8 out of 10. And yeah, I'm really excited for the next stuff. I'm really hoping the author goes for calling the gang Tokyo Revengers. It's just too fitting. It would slap too hard. It would be too good. Tokyo Revengers, considering that the Tokyo Manji gang's captains and co-captains, well, not co-captains, but vice captains, are the large majority of like the core members of the currently Thousand Winters gang. It's like, it would be remiss to not call them the Tokyo Revengers, the pseudo resurgence of the Tokyo Manji gang. It just fit too well. But overall, can't wait for